Hi, Grandma Abuela here. Hey, if you're enjoying these Grandma Survives videos, then subscribe and share them with other people so that they can enjoy it too. When I told my kids that I was going to do this, they didn't believe that I was going to get any subscribers. And so far I have 13, so let's take that number up, share it with people, and let's get it up so that I can make more videos. Today I am sitting inside my homemade shelter and I'm going to build a fire inside that shelter. As you can see, what I actually have here is I have my wood stove. This is how I heat my home. And I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to build a fire. Now, ordinarily I cheat a little, and let me show you some of the things that I use when I cheat. One thing that I like to use is I like to use these fire starters. And when I started out using them, I would take one of these and break it into two the long ways like that. And then I would wrap it up in some newspaper. And then I discovered that I could actually take this piece, it's got oil in it, that's why I'm not touching it with my hands, and I could cut it into this way, and then I could cut one of those long pieces in two, and I could start it that way. But then I discovered that I can actually take one of these and cut it in fourths. And as you can see, that's not very big, but I take that and wrap it up in a piece of newspaper, and I put it with a few other pieces of newspaper in the bottom of my wood stove, and then I can put some smaller pieces of wood on top of it and light it, and it just goes. And I do not even really need kindling. I just need pieces of wood that are about, oh, maybe this size, or I can sometimes even get away with pieces that are this size, you know, a little bigger, if I'm using a fire starter. Now, something else that I've discovered is I don't have to go to the store and buy that. There's another way that I can do it. I can use, find it, ordinary candle wax. This is from I think it's called a tea candle, but you know, you have, a lot of people have those jars full of, that's a candle, and they burn it down to where there's not really much left, but you still have some wax in the bottom, and you can pull some of that wax out. You wrap the wax in dryer lint, and then you shove that inside a piece of cardboard egg carton, and that also makes a fire starter. And then I wrap that in newspaper and I start a fire that way. I've been told you don't need the newspaper. I like the newspaper because I think it's just a little bit easier to start, and I'm all about being lazy. Today, though, I'm going to try to start an old-fashioned fire like I would if I was out in the woods, maybe out on a camping trip. So what I'm going to start off with is just some really small, dry stuff that I think will burn. So I've got some leaves here, and I've got some tree bark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these leaves in, my tree bark. Got quite a few dry leaves here. I went outside and gathered up some dry leaves. So I've got these leaves. I'm going to put them here. A few more leaves over here. Put them in. And then got a little more dry tree bark here that I'll put in. And what I'm doing is I'm layering it. So I put this is how I do it. I like to put the smallest thing on the bottom. So I'm putting my dry leaves on the bottom, then the tree bark. And now I'm putting just tiny pieces of wood on top of that. And I have a few pieces of wood that I'm just going to put in here on top of that. And I kind of try to one more tree bark. I try to kind of pyramid everything because I want some oxygen to get underneath. Now, one more little piece of kindling, little piece of wood. Now, in the wilderness, when I do this and I light it, I usually use a match. I like matches. There was a story written by Jack London many years ago. It was called To Build a Fire, and I don't remember the whole storyline, but I do remember that part of it was he had to conserve his matches, and so he tried to build a fire using only one match. And so that has become a personal challenge to me to try to build a fire with just one match, and I can do that. Today I'm going to use a lighter just because I don't have any matches in the house and I'm too lazy to run to the store and buy matches, but so today I'll use a lighter to light this. In the wilderness, I know this works. sometimes I will use dry grass. That helps a lot. If I have newspaper, I use newspaper. And then you want to be able to get some ventilation to it and some oxygen. Fire requires three things to burn. It's kind of like a living thing is how I look at it. It requires fuel, it requires oxygen, and it requires heat. And the heat may sound really weird, but I've noticed that when my wood stove is completely cold like this is, sometimes it's harder to get it going just because there's no heat being produced, which I know is weird, but if you can get some heat going, it really does help your fire. But the oxygen and the fuel are key. You can't have too big of pieces of fuel or it won't be able to burn it and eat it, and you've got to have that oxygen. So out in the wilderness, a lot of times I'll lay down and I'll blow underneath the fire, just gentle breaths to help it get going. Here I've got actually a vent that I can open up on the bottom that will help give it that oxygen. So I'm ready to try to start this. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully it goes. If it doesn't, I've got my other fire starters here that I'll go ahead and use and show you how those work. So either way, it's not going to be a complete loss. So much for a lighter, it doesn't want to light. Oh, so it looks like my lighter's about out of fuel. That would explain some things. Well, my lighter's out of fuel. I don't know how to pause the video and then start it again, so I'm just going to go ahead and stop it here. This will be part one. I'll go get another lighter, and we'll go on and we'll do part two. Again, if you're enjoying these, subscribe and share it with other people. And if you're not enjoying them, if you think they're stupid and dumb, then still subscribe and share it with other people, and you'll have something that you can laugh about together. Bye!